2. Hello, and welcome to another episode of What Are Heath and Leila Watching? And this last weekend we watched Jessica Jones, and we did binge watch it. We started Friday night and we were done with the whole series by Sunday afternoon. So it was very exciting. We watched all the episodes back to back. We were kind of lazy that weekend, but it's raining, so that's okay. So this show was billed as being very dark. And I was not too excited to hear that, because I think a lot of superhero movies that are billed as being dark, it's kind of forced, because there's not really a reason for the superhero to be dark. They're really powerful, they have powers we all wish we had, and they're kind of brooding and feeling sorry for themselves. But Jessica Jones, her powers were very slowly introduced. What they introduced to you first was the reason why she felt dark and why she was kept to herself and why she was quiet. And I think that was done very well. I think Jessica Jones actually had a good reason to feel sorry. The thing about it is she was very afraid of the villain in this movie, and this villain had made her do things she was ashamed of. And I think shame can be more of a reason to feel sorry for yourself. So like I said, Jessica Jones' powers were introduced very slowly. So what that did was it made it so she felt a little vulnerable at first. And she had this genuine fear of the villain. His name was Kilgrave. And it took a long time to introduce him, but you were very afraid of this villain, and he felt very intimidating because of how afraid Jessica Jones was of him. And this was really done well by Kristen Ritter, who played Jessica Jones. And I think that may have been the thing that she did best, was express the fear she had of Kilgrave. Okay, so now we've got Leila's pick. Guys! And her pick is Nick Cage. She seemed to really like this character. I had to cover her eyes a lot because I think she's looking at him too much. But he is a very interesting character, and I think the casting of this guy was very good just on his look alone. He looked almost exactly like the comic, just a gigantic, intimidating dude. Their relationship with Jessica Jones was real back and forth. There's times where they're really at odds. There's a really good backstory of why they're at odds. But I think they followed it very well. Leila is really interested to see if there's a second season of Jessica Jones, what's going to happen with Nick Cage. Also, maybe he'll get his own show someday. We'll see about that. Now let's run down a few other characters that are in the show. Jessica Jones had a very close friend, and she was kind of, the polar opposite of Jessica Jones. She seemed to keep her sane and well-rounded, grounded, and more accessible to the rest of the world. I thought that was done well. There was a character, his name was Simpson, and he started off initially playing a police officer, but he's a little bit confusing because you just don't know if he's good or bad. He had really extreme flings back and forth between doing something good, something bad, something good, something bad. So he was, I don't know if I can say he was done well. It was a little confusing. Maybe they're leading to him being in Season 2, if there is a Season 2. I'm really interested to see that. He could even potentially be the main villain of Season 2, who knows. Or like her, Jessica Jones' best friend. I don't know where they're going with that guy. Now, another interesting character that we saw was a lawyer that kind of gave our main character, Jessica Jones, a lot of jobs. And she kind of stood out because she's played by Carrie-Anne Moss. And I thought it was good to see this actress back. The whole time you're watching, you're kind of thinking The Matrix, and I wondered what happened to her since then. But she's back, and she did a good job here. She fit this role. This character's done all right. You're going to have to see it to kind of see what you think about that.
Oh, hey, you're up there now. So the last character we have to talk about is the villain, and his name was Kilgrave. He didn't have a full name. I'll let you find that out. Now, I thought the best part of this villain was how Jessica Jones portrayed him before he was even shown on camera. Once he was shown on camera, the intimidation went away a little bit. I think this guy was trying to be like the guy that played Loki in Thor, but not quite as good. There was one point where he seemed to become a little bit powerless, and so I think this villain wasn't necessarily super intimidating. His power was very interesting. He did mind control, and when he's first introduced, that seems ridiculously powerful, and how afraid Jessica Jones was of him made him, at least for the first about 3 or 4 episodes, seem kind of invincible. But that kind of invincibility slowly goes away and you'll see how they resolve it, but I think overall the best part of this villain was how Jessica Jones was afraid of him, more so than the actor's portrayal. See what you think.